Hi guys, Andy here, and welcome to a little interactive story. Actually, it's just a story called Lights Out Please. There are 13 ghost stories, and I'm very excited. This has been in my itch.io collection for quite some time. I'm just getting around to it now. So let's just get started, shall we? You find us where we always are, but where you never expect us. There's a bright fire in the middle of our ill-shaped set and half-hearted circle. We are in a dark woods, protected by layers of oak trees gathered around the fire, sitting on logs, cross-laid blankets. Some of us are smiling, genuine smiles. Others, you can tell from the taut way their lips stretch across their teeth, their smiles mask something else, something harder to swallow. We're telling each other stories. Some of us are playing it up, using spooky voices and dramatic hand gestures when we talk. Others don't take their eyes off the fire, their hands, their shoes, talking to somebody who isn't even there. We sit down. Okay, we got a content warning. So, physical abuse, sexual assault, emotional abuse, violence for most stories. Okay, we sit down. Oh, okay. So, we got a few stories to choose from. Let me try to angle it just right. So, we got the one about the bathroom stall, told by Porpentine. The one about Oliver and Rose, told by Vicky He. The one about the basement, told by John R. The one about the monsters under the bed, told by Megan. The one about the black Cadillac, told by Jericho Bull. The one about the demon and the doll, told by Ashley. The one about the slit-mouthed woman, told by Carly Veloci. The one about the carnival, told by Kitty Horror Show. Ooh, I love Kitty Horror Show. I love seeing Cat for the Win play their games. The one about being released from prison, told by Stephen Wilds. The one about being buried alive, told by Isley. The one about the roommate, told by Kathleen McDonald. The one about the dripping, told by Sarah. The one about the magician and the Menago, told by Kira. Um, we'll go in order. We'll do the bathroom stall. Sitting in the bathroom stall, someone is coming. Heels click outside. The heels stop in front of your stall. Silence. Late night, empty building. You didn't lock the door. You could slide the lock shut, but you know it would click. That tiny sound seemed unbearable in the silence. Everything outside the stall feels much darker, like the stall is floating through the void. The door opens, and the darkness stares a figure. Her clothes are red, her mask is gold, her throat is long. Do you want red paper or blue paper or nothing? We'll go with blue. I like blue paper. That's my favorite color. I like blue. She wraps her long hands around your neck and squeezes. You can see her eyes through the mask. They're gorgeous, like wet gems. They discover you in the stall with the face of blue. Ooh, cool. Do you want to hear another story? No. Some of the stories were in under pseudonyms. Special thanks to Sydney, Javi, Zoya, and Kelsey for their advice with this project. I want to go back. How do I go back? I'm going back. Okay, I'm gonna go for the red paper this time because why not? I want to see how I die. She extends her hand to you. Her hand is empty. You look up. Her fingers sprout like needles and plunge into your flesh. They discover a red stall. Yes, I do want to hear another scary story. We'll go back to that one. This time I'm not out for nothing. Let's see what happens then. She steps back into the darkness, step by step, until she's gone. Everything is dark now. You can't see yourself. After a very long time of listening in silence, you pull your underwear back on and leave the stall, slowly crawling across the floor towards the bathroom door. The clammy tiles don't end. Darkness in all directions. You crawl for a long time. For a mile, more than a mile, you're thirsty and warm. There is nothing. Ooh. I would like to hear another story because that was really short. Okay, we're gonna go with the one about Oliver and Rose. I've always been a heavy guy. Roly poly Ollie. That's what kids at school called me. It didn't help that my name is Oliver. Oliver, ha! Even the name sounds round. Round like an olive. Fat like an olive. See, I'm fat. I'm pretty fucking fat. I didn't get called names like that. Well, not true. I got called Jelly Bean in middle school. And then it was just faggot the rest of the high school. So, ever since I was little, kids in the playground made fun of me, tortured me, teased me. Some enjoyed making my life a living hell. Others looked at me with pity in their eyes. I knew some of them wanted to stand up for me, but they were too afraid. They were afraid that they would be the next targets for the bullies. Now that I'm a sophomore in high school, I still walk down the hall with my head hung low. I see all the kids staring at me. They're probably thinking, oh, here comes Oliver, waddling down the hallway like a big, fat, giant olive. I always dreaded walking down hallways at school. It was as if I was on a runway. Instead of being a superstar model, I was a roll of fat that was walking down the runway as if there was a cake waiting for me at the end of the hallway. Every day I wanted to disappear. I didn't want to be at school. I didn't want to face those bullies. But one day, a miracle happened. Maybe it was God's way of rewarding me for not eating the last Snickers bar that was tucked away in my drawer at home. A new girl came to our school. Her name was Rose. She was beautiful, just like the flower. Her lips were ruby red, her skin was flushed and had a rose-colored hue. She had a cute as a button nose and beautiful brown eyes. Her black hair glistened like diamonds under the bright sun. It cascaded down her back like smooth satin. I was instantly mesmerized by her. How could such a perfect creature possibly roam the hallways of our pathetic redneck school? We weren't worthy of her. I thought she was perfect, a perfect human being created by the hands of God. But the rest of the school didn't think so. They treated her like an outsider. She was different. She wasn't white. They made fun of her and teased her. They called her names like Ching, Chang, Chong. They did everything they could to make her feel unwelcomed. They wanted her to feel like an outsider who didn't belong. They made her feel exactly how they made me feel, like we're unwanted garbage that needs to be disposed of. One day after school, I saw Rose at her locker, packing up her belongings. I mustered up the courage and went up to introduce myself. When I approached her, she instantly hung her head down low, as if expecting me to deliver a hateful comment to her. That made me feel weird. I've never felt that kind of feeling before. I felt like someone had squeezed my heart and stabbed a dull blade in it. Why would a beautiful girl like Rose need to be afraid? I nervously whispered, Hi, I'm Oliver. She looked up at me. She looked surprised. I heard a small gasp, which was quickly replaced by a heavy sigh of relief. She smiled at me and said, Hi, I'm Rose. That was the first time I heard her voice. Those three words that came out of her mouth sounded like angels singing in a choir in heaven. They sounded like a harmonious symphony to my ears. I never knew someone could sound so sweet and innocent. When I looked into her eyes, I saw something. I saw relief. I saw kindness. I saw purity. And just like that, I was hers. I was captivated by her. All of a sudden, I felt a sharp pain. My shoulder slammed into the steel lockers, and I felt the bones shatter into a million mind-numbing tiny pieces. I was brought back to reality. A group of water polo team players shoved me against the lockers. Hey, fatty, watch where you're going. Are you talking to Ching Chang Chong because you're craving some Chinese food? They teased. Wow, that's really fucking mean. At that moment, I was suddenly snapped back to reality. I am Oliver, the fat olive that doesn't deserve to be loved or be loved. I walked away from Rose and headed towards the exit. As the school year progressed, Rose and I became very close. We would eat lunch together at the schoolyard. We made inside jokes that only we understood. It was like we were in our own little world, our own refuge. It was magnificent. It was glorious. It was perfection. The bullies didn't seem to bother us anymore. We were so enwrapped in our blissful world that we didn't pay any attention to outside noises. The bullying eventually stopped. I guess her thinking was that two outsiders could have each other, and that was perfect for us. One day, something unthinkable happened. Rose's parents went out of town, and she had the house all to herself. She invited me over to her place, and like the shy guy I am, I nervously accepted. As I gazed into Rose's eyes, I experienced something I've never experienced before. Something in me tingled. It felt as if someone had electrocuted me and every single cell in my body became alive. The cells of my body danced around uncontrollably. I couldn't wait. That special day had come, the day that everything changed. I met Rose after school in the courtyard, and together we walked toward her house. As I entered her house, I noticed how neat and tidy everything was. All the furniture was polished and dusted, and there was not a speck of dust to be seen. The marble counters in her kitchen sparkled like a crystal reflecting in the bright sun. Her house was immaculate. As we climbed up the stairs into her bedroom, my heart started racing. Her bedroom. That's where she slept every night. Perhaps naked. The sheer thought of Rose being naked made me weak. I could feel the blood rush down to my groins. I felt the single droplet of sweat roll down my bronze temple. I've never felt this way before. The anticipation of what was going to happen next made my head cloud. As we entered her room, I took stock of everything. There it was, her bed. The bed that she slept in every night, in her milky white flesh with veins of blood running through them. We sat down on her bed. She talked about her childhood and all the memorabilia in her room, but couldn't concentrate on what she was saying. All I could focus on her. All I could focus on was her bed and having her in her bed, underneath me. I remember a while back, Rose mentioned that purity was very important to her and her family. Premarital sex was frowned upon in her culture. But at that moment, I couldn't resist my urge. I pushed her back onto her bed, and I kissed her. Rose tried to push away, but kept saying, "No, Oliver, we can't." But I didn't listen. The more she struggled, the more excited I felt. All I could feel was longing. Longing for what? I didn't know. All I knew was that I needed to have her now. In every way possible. I needed to make her mine, completely and utterly mine. Jesus fucking Christ. The more she struggled to get free, the more excitement came over me. For some reason, seeing her withering underneath me like a helpless rag doll turned me on even more. My ears were ringing from the rush of blood to my head. Then something caught my attention. I glanced up and saw a single stem of red rose on her nightstand. The rose was elegantly placed in a vase, and it looked just beautiful, just like my rose. Elegant and poised, just like my rose. Then, all of a sudden, I felt a piercing pain in my lip. She bit me. She bit me on my lips in an effort to struggle to get free. I liked that. I liked seeing her struggle and fight for her freedom. Just like thorns on roses, my rose had a side of her that I've never seen before. She had defiance, rebelliousness, and resiliency. And then I tasted blood. My own blood. That was a sudden change. Sorry for anyone watching this. I apologize for that sudden change. The metallic and raw taste of my own blood made me ready to punch her jugular and tear into her flesh. I couldn't think, couldn't breathe. It was an out-of-body experience. I watched as my fingers wrapped over Rose's delicate and creamy neck. I felt my fingers slowly starting to contract around her neck. The more she struggled, the harder I squeezed. I watched as she struggled for her breath. I watched as her face turned crimson red. I watched as her lips formed the words, "Please." I watched as I saw her take her last breath. My rose, my rose, my rose, my rose, my rose. She was mine, and she would always be just mine. It was over. It was all over. I climbed off of her and I saw Rose's lifeless body. How peaceful she looked. How elegant and regal, just like the single rose on her nightstand. The lifeless rose looked like so beautiful and serene. My rose, my rose, my rose, my rose. She was mine, and she would always be just mine. I don't remember what happened next. I can't remember how I left her house and went back to my own room. It was as if my brain refused to acknowledge what had happened. It blocked all out the events that occurred. Sheer blackout. I woke up the next day. I felt weird. Something wasn't right. There was a huge, ugly rash on my arm. Upon closer inspection, I realized that my arm was covered in tiny pinholes. That's funny, I thought. Last I checked, I didn't have a bedbug issue. What could it be? Was I bitten by mosquitoes during my sleep? Even if that were true, would it be possible that there were hundreds of mosquitoes? I pushed that thought to the back of my mind and I got dressed for school. I wore a long sleeve shirt to cover up my arm and I slattered on polysporin. During the morning class, Miss Reynolds took attendance. Rose was absent. No one knew what had happened to Rose. No one knew but me. And in a sickening way, the thought of killing her with my bare hands made me feel more powerful. I spent the rest of the school day walking down the halls with more confidence. I felt alive. The next morning, the rash on my arm had gotten worse. It seemed to have spread. Instead of only my arm being itchy, my entire body felt itchy. Then I looked down and I discovered that my bed was soaked in blood. My heart raced. I knew something was wrong. I got up and I stood in front of the mirror and I looked. My blood turned cold. I felt the blood drain from my face and I stood there, frozen in place and unable to move. What I saw was a reflection of my own body, except my body was different. My body was covered in hundreds of tiny pin-sized holes, holes with blood dripping out from them. I felt myself lose consciousness as I slid down to the floor. I saw Rose, my beautiful Rose. She was standing over me like an angel. She's the only one who ever understood me, my Rose. Then I realized something. Rose was different. She reached her side and pulled out a thorn from her ribcage, and slowly she took that thorn and started pricking my body, one painful prick at a time. She comes to my bed every night while I'm asleep, and she stands over me and pricks me with her thorn. I want to tell her to stop. Each prick is too painful, but I can't. She won't listen anyway. Not that I blame her. I didn't listen to her. So I stay quiet. Each night she comes to my bed and continues to prick my body. I know this won't go on forever. I know there will be a night when she only has one last prick to perform, and that will be it. She is the most beautiful woman I have ever met. My Rose. Mine. Holy crap, that was good. I like that one. That was very good. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this little installment of Lights Out, Please. I'll see y'all very fucking soon for some more cool ass shit. I'm planning on starting 2 new Let's Plays next week. If you like this, I will definitely keep on reading this. If not, I will save these videos for when I'm gone on vacation. I'll be playing some kick-ass games, and I can't wait for y'all to see what I got in store for y'all. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all very fucking soon. Bye for now.